Hello, everyone, and welcome to the LOBoratory. This is your host, Holly Chantal, the president of the Land of Brand and your lead Mad Brand Scientist. And I do have my sidekick here today. This is Gavin. He's my 2-month-old, and he decided that he's not going to take a nap during today's session, so I'm going to hold him. So hopefully that won't be too distracting. I apologize that he might make a little bit of noise, but hopefully he will behave himself and keep his opinions to himself. So if you've never joined us before, we meet every Wednesday, 12 o'clock Eastern Time, and we talk about different topics in branding. So how can you build a brand that blazes your trail, sets you ahead of your game, instead of reflecting where you were before or giving you any kind of brand shame? So today's topic, we are going to talk about how to build your tribe by unifying them through your message. So what we're really going to talk about today are three things. One, what is stranger danger and how does it have to do with your business? The difference between building a list and building a tribe, and then why sometimes your business really is about you, because that probably is contrarian to a lot of advice that you've heard before. Oh, and I forgot to mention that if you have any questions, you can type them into either the Q&A box or in the chat, and I'll answer them at the end. But let's go ahead and dive in. So stranger danger. If you have kids, you probably know all about stranger danger. And that is the feeling that we get when we encounter strangers and we're wondering if we should trust them, should we not trust them. It's that you get that fight or flight response sometimes. And, oh, sorry, he's hitting buttons. Let's move my keyboard out of the baby's reach. So we encounter the same sense of anxiety or trepidation when we're thinking about hiring someone. You don't know them. You don't know if you can trust them. Are they going to deliver what they promised? Is the process going to be a nightmare? Am I going to get the result that I want, that they're promising? There's a lot of trust issues that come along with hiring a service provider. Your prospects are going through that same process when they're thinking about hiring you. They don't know you from Adam unless you have been, you met them at a networking event, or maybe you spoke and that's how they met you. If they're just coming across your website or some piece of online marketing, they really don't know who you are, and they're beginning the process of getting to know you. So trust has to be earned. You have to allay their fears. You have to let them know that you're someone that they want to be working with, that they're going to get along with, that is going to deliver on what they promise. And the best way to earn that trust is not by making fancy schmancy promises or saying that giving them clever wording or anything like that. What it is that's really going to earn their trust is to connect with them through the heart. And chances are, most of the people that I work with, at least, we all start our businesses because we have this deep-seated mission that comes from the heart. There is a deep reason why we started our businesses, to help other people and make an impact on the world. That message can be, and usually is, the piece that's going to connect most with your prospects. Yet, it's oftentimes the piece that's left out of a lot of our messaging because we think that it's all about the result we provide, and that it's always about the visitor, it's always about the prospect, and we forget even to talk about ourselves or why we do it at all. But sometimes your business is a little bit about you. Most marketing will tell you you should not be saying I, you should not be talking about yourself, anything like that. You always need to direct things to the viewer. But the thing is that people do care where you're coming from and why you do what you do. And that why says a lot about who you are, says a lot about what you believe in, says a lot about your point of view, and that's ultimately what's important to people when they're choosing who to hire. Because chances are there are hundreds, if not thousands, of other people that offer the same service you do, have the same certifications and qualifications, but their message is going to be different, and it's the message and the person behind the brand that is ultimately going to be what your clients connect with the most. So I call this your brand philosophy. This is one piece of the Trailblazing Trinity that I teach in the Land of Brand and I use with all of my clients. So one of the pieces is your philosophy. You may have heard this term before called a stand, a brand mission, a point of view. This is really why you are in business. This is the impact that you want to make in the world, and ultimately what you want to hand in bringing about. I'm trying to remember, I saw a commercial today on Facebook. It was a video about these tents that don't sit on the ground. Instead, they're suspended between 3 trees. So this is a really good example of a brand philosophy. So they have this product. Yes, it's unique. Does it really make sense to suspend your tent between trees? I don't know. It looks kind of cool. Maybe it's comfortable. Who knows? But where they really get the viewer is through their philosophy. So by suspending your tent in the trees, you're making zero impact on the environment. You're not flattening anything. You're not leaving any trace that you were there. And what they say is that by using the trees to pitch your tent, then you're actually saving trees because the trees need to be there in order for you to do it. That is a philosophy. It has nothing to do with the quality of the product, has nothing to do with whether or not it's going to serve you the best, but it's their philosophy. They want more trees on this planet. And then they further reinforce that philosophy by saying that for every tent that's bought, they'll plant 3 trees. So that is the mission and the impact that they want to make on the world. And just by knowing that, if you're someone that loves trees and agrees with that philosophy, you're going to buy into their product, whether or not it makes sense to be sleeping in a hammock when you're camping. Who knows? But sometimes the philosophy is what gets people to buy more than the actual product itself or the quality of the service that's being provided. So this is just something for you to keep in mind as you're marketing, that you need to share this about yourself. You need to share what's important to you, because if what's important to you is the same as your prospects, you're going to meet on the same level in a much different way. So what's the difference between building a tribe and a list? This is ultimately, this philosophy is the biggest difference in making a connection on that level. So list building is all about numbers. There are plenty of resources out there that are going to tell you how to build your list. And I get approached for doing different promotions, doing summits, whatever. And one of the questions I always ask is, how big is your list? How many numbers do you have? And it's really funny because it's kind of like the age-old pissing contest of whose list is bigger. But what I have found over the last 7 years is that size doesn't necessarily matter. When I've run promotions myself, I like to find out how many people are on people's list just so that I can get statistics on, how many people are being sent from different collaborators. And what their list size are, because that tells me how responsive it is. It tells me if their list really resonates with the type of offerings I have, if I were going to do something in the future, that kind of thing. And what I have found is that someone that has a 2,500 person list usually has a much more connected list because they're newer in business, and the level of service that they're providing is actually a little bit, I don't want to say that people with larger lists are not providing as much of a service, but sometimes we lose a little bit of that sharing our philosophy sometimes. We talk less about ourselves over time because we've gotten into such a marketing groove, that kind of thing. And oftentimes, the longer you've been in business, the bigger the list you have, the less engaged your audience is because they've started to drop off. They've stopped opening your emails. I have people that have been on my list for 5 years now, and those people are few and far between. And most of the people that signed up 5 years ago have probably forgotten who I am. So the size of the list doesn't necessarily matter. It has to do with how connected is your list to your message. How connected are they with you? So sometimes all those list building activities are artificial. And what you really want to do is get quality subscribers that are built around your message. When you unite a community around your message, you're going to have a much bigger impact on the world, and you're going to have a much easier time selling your services. Hold on, dropped the binky. So instead of having a list of anonymous people, you're going to have a tribe of people that are not strangers anymore, because a list is still, they're still strangers, they're still anonymous. Instead, you're going to have a tribe of people that are connected to your message and that trust you on a whole other level because they resonate with you. So how do you express your philosophy? Let's say you know what your stand is, you know what your mission is. What do you do with that? So you're going to share that in your brand story. You're going to share it in your marketing, just like this tent company did in this video that was on Facebook. They're going to share it on their sales pages, or you're going to share it on your sales pages. When you speak, even when you're working with clients, this stand and this philosophy is going to come up over and over again because it's a big piece of your business and why you're doing what you're doing. So it's natural that you're going to talk about it, and that this is going to be a piece of your everyday conversation. So what will the results be? What if you were to start talking about yourself a little bit and why you got into business and what's important to you? What would happen? So for one, you're going to have a more engaged audience because they're going to be excited about what you're doing. You're going to have products that are easier to sell because your audience is going to trust you. The stranger danger is going to be lessened. People are going to talk about you and spread the word. Chances are if someone resonates with your mission, they're going to be much more likely to talk about it and get excited about it too. And the biggest result is you're going to make an even bigger impact on the world because you're going to be growing your business in a whole new level. I think he's fallen asleep finally. So conclusions. The best way to get around stranger danger is really just to bare your soul, to share about yourself, to tell people why you're in business, to tell people what's important to you. That is going to be a huge way to connect and build your number of clients. When you're clear on your philosophy and it's at the forefront of your brand, you're going to attract more than just numbers. The number of people on your list doesn't matter if they're not engaged with you and looking forward to receiving your emails. When you build a tribe, it will be easier for you to make an impact and fulfill your purpose in business. So these are the reasons why it is important for you to build a tribe, and it is important for you to share your philosophy. So you might be wondering, why am I in business? Why did I start the Land of Brand? And so my philosophy and the stand that I have for my clients is that I believe that we all have these big dreams that we're giving up on. And I saw it in my parents. My father has always had these dreams that he wanted to achieve, and he's never actually got there because he works so hard and doesn't know how to bring about those dreams. He doesn't know what he doesn't know sometimes. And I feel like that's the same for a lot of business owners. We have these big dreams. We end up giving up on them because we either think they're not possible. We don't know what we don't know. We don't know how to make that happen. So my dream and why I'm in business is to help entrepreneurs and help business owners achieve those dreams through their businesses, to make that impact that they want to make, to do that thing that they think is impossible. Because my unique superpower in the work I do is that I intuitively understand how things work and how to make things work. So when my clients come to me with a message, a passion that they're not sure how to sell, they're not sure how to brand, they're not sure what should be going on their website, I can guide them through that process and putting together that language, putting together that design, putting together that brand that is going to help them bring that dream to life. And that is, that's what I want to see more of in the world. And it's also, what's juicy for me to do. What's fun about what I do is helping figuring out that puzzle and how we're going to make this work. So that is my philosophy. And now if you resonate with that, you're going to be much more connected to the Land of Brand and why we do what we do. So Oh, now he's pushing buttons on my phone. Awesome. So thank you for joining me today at the LOBoratory. Next week, we're going to have a special webinar. We're going to talk about how to ensure your website is finished on time and on budget. All right, stop hitting that button, bud. This is not going to be this is going to be a little bit more in depth probably than we normally do in a LOBoratory call because there's a lot of information here. And basically what I see over and over again in consultation calls with potential clients is they get burned by their designers, or they feel like they're getting burned. Their projects are never getting finished. I talked to people that started a website over a year ago and it's still not done. Or they start a project. Bless you, bud. They start a project and then it keeps getting extended, or they keep getting billed more and more because the designer keeps adding on fees and that kind of thing. So next week's topic is really how to put the kibosh on all of that, how to make sure your website is done on time and on budget, and that you're not going to have to redo it in the next year at the very least. Because that's another thing I see is finally get your website up, and by then things have changed, or it's not really what you wanted, and you have to start all over again. And I'm tired of that. So we are going to talk about how to avoid that happening. So that will be next Wednesday at 12 o'clock Eastern Time. I don't see any questions in the Q&A box. So I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your week, and I will see you next Wednesday. Bye, everyone.